There are 7 things you should always keep private. Never reveal them to anyone. Not to your closest friend, not to your girlfriend, not even to your own family. Stoicism teaches that the less you expose about yourself, the harder you become to destroy. The more you reveal, the easier it becomes for people to manipulate you. Niccolò Machiavelli warned about this when he said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few truly know what you are." That is not just a quote, it is a warning. Machiavelli may not have spoken those exact words directly, but he lived by that principle. And in The Prince, he made one thing very clear. If you want to remain in control, reveal as little as possible. Because the more you expose yourself, the easier you become to break. People smile in front of you, but behind those smiles, they are collecting information. And if you hand them the wrong detail, especially the final one, they may eventually use it against you. So today, I'm going to show you 7 things you should never tell anyone. They may seem harmless, but they expose your weaknesses. They make you easier to control, easier to manipulate. So listen carefully. This could save your reputation, and maybe even your life. 1. Your next move. You tell people your goals, your strategies, your vision, thinking they'll support you. But in silence, they begin to chip away at it. They pretend they care, but what they're really doing is undermining your momentum. They question it, they doubt it. Not because they care, but because they fear what you'll become. Your plan isn't safe in other people's heads. It's safe when it's done. Here's the truth. People secretly don't want you to rise above them. Friends become critics when your ambition grows louder than theirs. And if your next move threatens their comfort, they'll sabotage you with a smile. They act supportive, but they're waiting. Let them wait forever. Power moves in silence. You don't need validation. You need results. If they see the move before it's made, they'll block it. If they see it after it's made, they'll fear it. And when you fail after hyping yourself up, now you've given them something even more powerful. Evidence to laugh at you. Don't give them that. Move in silence. Let results do the talking. The second you reveal your next move, you expose your ambition. And ambition triggers one of 2 reactions. Insecure people will try to lower it. Competing people will try to sabotage it. This is why smart men move in silence. They speak with actions. They don't explain their dreams, they deliver them. Let me give you a real-world example. You tell a friend you're launching a business. They hit you with, "Are you sure that's smart right now? Isn't that risky? You're going to leave your stable job for that?" Now stop. Were they really concerned for your well-being, or were they afraid you might actually break free? People will throw doubt at you dressed as advice. They'll use your old self to hold back your future self. "Oh, but you're not that type of guy. You're not even good at that. You've never done something like that before." Let me be blunt here. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need permission to evolve. You don't need validation to act. Machiavelli wrote, "It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver." Don't mistake this for dishonesty. He meant, play the game, but stay 2 steps ahead. Let others think they know your moves, while you execute the real ones in silence. Because the truth is, when they know your next move, they can block it, they can delay it, they can steal it, or they can plant seeds of doubt before you even start. Think of the most powerful people in history. They didn't announce their next move. They didn't broadcast their intentions. They moved, then let the world react. Julius Caesar didn't post a plan before crossing the Rubicon. Alexander didn't tweet before launching a campaign. Machiavelli didn't ask for feedback before manipulating the state. Today's world tricks you into thinking you have to share, that transparency is strength. It's not. Silence is strength. Let me give you a scenario. You tell your family you're quitting your job to build something on your own. They panic. They throw stats at you. 90% of startups fail. Don't risk stability. You have bills to pay. Suddenly, you feel small. You question yourself. You delay action. Not because your plan was wrong, but because their fear became your burden. Now reverse the script. You quit silently, build quietly. Then when it's done, they see the result. That's how you earn respect. You don't ask for it. You impose it by what you execute, not what you explain. People respect finished products. People do not respect unfinished ideas. Every time you reveal your next move too early, you hand someone the ability to destroy it. Sometimes they do it with a single sentence. Sometimes they do it with silence. Both can be deadly when your vision is still fragile. Ask yourself this: why do you keep sharing your plans with people who have never built anything with their own lives? And if this truth hits you hard, write it in the comments. I move in silence. 2. Your weakness. The moment you reveal your weakness to the wrong person, you become a target. You may believe you are simply being honest, but they are quietly studying you. They are storing your pain like ammunition for the future. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." That means handling your suffering internally instead of broadcasting it for validation from the outside world. Why? Because most people do not genuinely care. And the ones who seem to care are often watching closely to see where you bleed, so they know exactly where to strike later. What you see as a cry for help, they see as leverage. You bleed in front of them, and they pretend to bandage the wound, only to cut even deeper the moment it becomes useful to them. Your enemies are often people you once called friends. You need to understand this. You never expose what you haven't mastered. Your weakness is your responsibility, not your announcement. Stop expecting others to carry your emotional weight. You bleed in front of the wrong person once, and you'll pay for it forever. Don't believe me? Look at the last time someone used your own words against you in an argument. That friend who remembered what you said in weakness. That relative who laughed about your fear months later. That ex who exposed your deepest insecurity after the breakup. They don't forget. They collect. Never forget this. Your enemies were once your confidants. Your biggest betrayals will come from familiar faces. And the wounds that hurt the most will be the ones you volunteered. So what do? You build yourself up in private. You conquer your demons behind closed doors. You become the kind of man who masters his wounds, not markets them. And if you're thinking, but I need support, let me tell you something. Support is earned through strength, not tears. Because in a world full of emotional exhibitionists, the man who is stoic, who is unreadable, that's the man they respect. He's unpredictable. He's powerful. He's untouchable. You don't walk around showing your cracks. You become the storm that doesn't break. because the second you show them where to hit, they will. Your pain is sacred. Protect it. Now let's go even deeper. Your enemies, they often used to be your friends. The people you shared secrets with. The ones who knew your fears. The ones who said, "I got you." One day, they'll turn. And when they do, they'll weaponize everything you ever told them. Stop expecting loyalty from people who benefit from your weakness. You don't owe the world your truth. You owe yourself your dignity. And here's something Machiavelli would whisper if he sat across from you right now. If you want control, never expose the variables people can use to control you. Be cold. Be quiet. Be unreadable. Let people guess what hurts you. Let them try to figure it out. Let them fail. Because the moment they know you, they own you. If you're still here, you're not like most. Most people quit. They scroll. But you're still watching. And that says something. You're hungry. You want power over your life. So, congratulations, because the next one is where most people destroy themselves without even realizing it. This is the one that ruins reputations, sparks jealousy, and paints a target on your back. 3. Your income. The richer you get, the quieter you need to be. There's a reason old money is quiet and new money is loud. Because real power doesn't shout, it watches. Start talking about how much you earn and watch how fast people start playing games. Suddenly, you're the target of comparison, jealousy, judgment. People stop seeing you. They see your wallet. Money doesn't just change your lifestyle. It changes how people treat you. You tell someone your income and they begin calculating how to use you, how to beat you, or how to destroy you. The richer you get, the quieter you must become. Money doesn't buy loyalty. It buys attention, and most of it's fake. Power isn't in showing what you have. It's in making them wonder, make them guess, make them uncomfortable not knowing. Remember this. Silence is the ultimate flex. If they don't know what you have, they can't control how they treat you. Let them assume, because mystery invites respect, and power grows best when it's hidden. That's why the true Machiavellian doesn't show his wealth. Money is a weapon, and you never show your weapons before the war starts. You flex it. You become predictable. You stay silent. You stay in control. Think about the people around you. You tell people how much money you make, and suddenly they begin acting like you owe them something. They expect favors. They expect financial help. They try to pull you into their problems simply because they believe you can afford to carry them. And the moment you refuse, you become the villain in their story. Not because you changed, but because their fantasy of benefiting from you just fell apart. Now let's go deeper. Silence is not about hiding. It is about protecting yourself. If people do not know what you have, they cannot figure out how to manipulate you. You can walk into a room underestimated, and that becomes your advantage. They will not see you as a threat. They will not prepare for you. They will not build defenses against you, because you never gave them a reason to. But the moment you start talking about your income, the moment you begin showing off what you earn, you place a target on your own back, and the world immediately starts aiming at it. The people who truly hold power never feel the need to explain their wealth. They let others wonder. Let people guess how much you make. Let them assume whatever they want, because mystery holds more power than money ever will. People respect what they can't figure out. They fear what they can't label. They watch what they can't access. If you want to own the room, don't show up screaming about your bank account. Own your silence. You don't need to explain your lifestyle. You don't need to justify your success. You don't need to defend what you earn. Now, pause. Ask yourself, how many people in your life know what you make? And what did it really bring you? Did it bring peace or pressure? Support or suspicion? If you're honest, you already know the answer. Let me paint you a scene. You tell your friend you made 6 figures this year. At first they smile, they clap. They say, "That's amazing." But then the questions begin. You must be rich now, right? Hey, I've got this business idea. Can you help me with rent? Suddenly, your income has created expectation. And when you don't meet it, respect turns to resentment. And if you think this only happens with friends, think again. In relationships, money becomes control. If they think you earn more, they'll either rely on you too much or compete with you silently. In family, you're now the one who made it, which means you're expected to carry their weight, solve their problems, and never say no. Say no once, and you're the arrogant one, the selfish one, the one who forgot where you came from. I never said you shouldn't help others, but during your building stage, you need to stay ruthless. Do not sacrifice your future to carry someone else's weight. Once you start making progress, they will see you as the person who made it. While you are still building, you must stay focused and protect your progress. 4. Never expose your relationship conflicts. You ever see someone post this? Can't believe what she did to me again. She's acting cold and distant. Relationships are hard. Yeah, that's weakness broadcasted. Let me paint you a scene. You fight with your partner. You feel hurt, betrayed, confused. So, you go tell your friend, your group chat. You spill the details, the words, the insults, the chaos. You think you're getting support, but what you're actually doing is broadcasting your instability. Now everyone knows your connection is shaky. Now everyone sees your power slipping. And when people see cracks, they don't help fix them. They wait for collapse. Here's the law. Never expose your relationship conflicts, because once you do, you've handed over your power. You've turned your personal life into public entertainment. And the worst part, no one watching actually cares. And the world is full of people who smile while sharpening the knife. Your relationship is your personal battlefield, and nobody outside of that battlefield deserves access to a map of your emotional weaknesses. The moment your relationship problems become public, people stop respecting you the same way. You turn into a character, a joke, a tragic story being discussed in someone else's group chat. They begin to see the leash attached to your emotions. They see you controlled by love, by chaos, by constant drama. And little by little, respect disappears. Because when you expose your relationship conflicts, what you're really exposing is emotional dependence. That is not strength. That is weakness displayed in high definition. The things you say during moments of pain eventually become entertainment for other people. They become leverage. They become ammunition. You tell someone your girlfriend disrespected you, and later they laugh about it behind your back. You admit that your partner cheated on you, and you still stayed. And from that moment on, people never look at you the same again. You are no longer viewed as the calm, mysterious man in control. Now you become the emotional spectacle, the fragile one, the person everyone expects to fall apart again sooner or later. Never allow people to turn your heartbreak into casual conversation. And this does not only apply to friends. In professional environments, the moment coworkers or clients hear about problems in your relationship, they quietly begin questioning your discipline and self-control. Is he distracted? And here's the deeper truth. People only respect what you protect. If your relationship is sacred, keep it sacred. If it's hell, fix it or leave it. But don't parade the fire like a badge, because once you start explaining it to outsiders, you give them control over how it defines you. Now, this doesn't mean suffer in silence. This doesn't mean isolate. If you need help, get it from someone who's above your level, a therapist, a mentor, not your emotionally reactive friend who can't even manage their own love life. Let me give you a Machiavellian scenario. You're in a political court. Your rival wants to know where to strike. You casually mention that your queen betrayed your trust. Boom. Now they have their angle. They use it to break your focus. Push that crack until your whole kingdom collapses. Sound dramatic? It's not. It happens every day in companies, in friend groups, on social media. Your emotional chaos becomes the thing people use to define your strength. Not your wins, not your vision, your drama. You become the broken lover, the betrayed partner, the one who's going through something. They won't say it to your face, but they'll think it, and they'll treat you accordingly. Here's the rule. If it bleeds, don't post it. If it hurts, don't parade it. If it's sacred, protect it. Because what you expose emotionally will be used strategically. Let me say that again. What you expose emotionally will be used strategically. And most of the time, not by your enemies, but by your spectators. People love watching you break, not because they hate you, but because it makes them feel better about themselves. Now, flip the script. You keep your chaos private. You never talk about your conflicts. You show up stable, clear, controlled. What happens? People assume strength. They assume control. They see no cracks, so they respect you more. Even if your relationship is held behind the scenes, your silence becomes your power. Control the narrative or be owned by it. 5. Never share your family problems. You think telling people about your family problems makes you honest. You think being open about your childhood trauma, your father's absence, will make them understand you. No, it makes them judge you. People don't care. They gossip. Say it again. People don't care. They consume your pain like entertainment. Because when you share your family problems, you think you're getting support, but what you're really giving them is a story. And people love a story, especially one that makes you look weak. Here's the law. Never reveal your family problems. Ever. I don't care if it's your coworkers, your social media followers, even some so-called friends. Keep it locked because most people don't care, and the ones who pretend to, they gossip. Here's the brutal truth. When you reveal the chaos inside your home, you strip yourself of dignity outside of it. People rarely separate you from your family problems. Instead, they project that dysfunction directly onto you. They say things like, "Now I understand why he acts that way." They pretend to sympathize with you, then screenshot your emotional breakdown, then repeat it as entertainment at the next gathering or dinner party. Why? Because your pain feeds their ego. It gives them someone to feel superior to. someone to gossip about when their own lives feel empty, someone to analyze whenever they need a distraction from the chaos inside themselves. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But the moment you overshare family drama, you lose both. People no longer fear you, and they do not truly love you either. They pity you, and pity destroys respect. Once people begin pitying you, they stop admiring you. They stop valuing your words. They stop seeing you as someone above pressure because, in their minds, they have already placed you beneath them. Your trauma becomes your identity, not your resilience, not your growth, just the label attached to your name. Imagine a real-life situation. You're at work, and a coworker casually asks how your weekend was. You let your guard down for a moment. "My father left again. It's always been this way. My mother cried the entire day. I'm exhausted." In your mind, you think you are simply opening up and being honest. But all they hear is unstable, distracted, weak. They'll never say it to your face, but the next time there's a promotion, a high-stakes assignment, a leadership role, they'll pass, because subconsciously they don't trust your foundation. Your emotional scars are sacred. Not everyone deserves to see them. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius understood this. He wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. If your mind is focused on reliving dysfunction, your energy carries dysfunction and people feel it. So what should you do? Heal in silence. Build in silence. And when you rise, let them see strength, not the storm you came from. Your story is yours. It's not public property. It's not their entertainment. Think about your lowest moments with your family. Maybe your parents betrayed each other. Maybe you were raised in chaos. Maybe there's trauma, abuse, violence, addiction. Now, picture telling that to someone who hasn't earned your trust. What do they really do with that info? They don't give you therapy. They give it legs. They repeat it. They share it as concern, but it's judgment wrapped in sympathy. When you succeed, they'll drag your family pain into it. They'll say you got lucky. They'll say you're unstable underneath. And when you fail, they'll say they saw it coming. You lose both ways. So protect your peace. Because once you put your family problems on display, you lose control of the narrative. And in this world, the narrative is power. The next time your name comes up, it's not your success they mention. It's your dysfunction. "Yeah, he's doing well, but you know his dad's a drunk, right? She's smart, but her family's a mess. They come from chaos. Don't trust it." Respect gone. If this hits hard, drop this in the comments. My silence protects my story. Because from today, you don't bleed where vultures fly. You speak through results, and you never hand your scars over to strangers. 6. Never reveal your long-term goals. I'm not talking about small plans like your next trip or weekend idea. I'm talking about the empire you are trying to build, the business you want to create, the future version of yourself that nobody has seen yet. That vision is sacred. Protect it. Keep it private. Have you ever wondered why so many people with massive dreams never actually reach them? Because they talked about them too much. You had a vision, then you shared it with someone. They applauded you. They hyped you up. You felt good for a moment, and that was the beginning of the downfall. Most people confuse talking about success with actually creating it. If people do not know what you are building, they cannot interfere with it. If they do not know how far you plan to go, they cannot hold you in place. If they do not know who you are becoming, they cannot stop the transformation before it happens. So keep them in the dark while you quietly become the storm. And here is the brutal truth most people refuse to accept. The majority of people around you do not truly want you to win in the long run. They are comfortable watching you improve a little, but not too much. They want you to succeed just enough to stay relatable, never enough to surpass them. They'll support you until your growth threatens their self-worth. You ever notice that? You start a side hustle and people say, "Why don't you focus on your job instead?" You start investing in yourself and they ask, "Who do you think you are?" You set a 5-year plan and they laugh. Bro, that's unrealistic. These are the same people who scroll all day. The same ones who gave up on their dreams years ago. Now they hate that you still believe in yours. So you have 2 options. Option 1, feed them your plan. Let them chew it up, spit it out, and laugh. Option 2, starve their doubts. Move in silence. Deliver results so loud no one dares question you again. Here's a mindset to tattoo on your brain. Let them see nothing. Let them expect nothing. Let them prepare for nothing. Because the man who says little moves freely. The man who talks big becomes a target. And here's the dark psychology in play. When you keep your long-term goals secret, you create mystery. Mystery builds tension. Tension commands attention. Attention leads to power. You say you want to build a business. You tell your friends. They're impressed. You feel like you've already done something. But you haven't. You've only fed your ego, not your results. This is the danger of sharing long-term goals. They trigger fake dopamine. The brain can't tell the difference between accomplishment and applause. You talk, they cheer, and your brain thinks, mission complete. But nothing's been done. No product, no system, no struggle, no sacrifice. Just a fantasy you murdered with your own mouth. Machiavelli said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, when one of the two must be lacking." You want to be loved when you share your goals. You want praise. You want support. But the moment you chase love, you lose power. Your long-term vision is sacred. Treat it like a blueprint locked in a vault. Only a fool leaves it lying around for anyone to see. Let's break this down. Why do people feel the need to share their big goals? Validation. They want others to believe in it, so they don't have to fully carry it alone. But the moment you make your vision public, you give people permission to critique it. Now, they're in your head. It's too ambitious. Is that realistic? Why don't you try something smaller first? Even if they don't mean harm, they've planted doubt. Now you start adjusting your vision, not for truth, but for approval. You lose your edge. You water down your dream. You shape it to be digestible, not disruptive. Here's the rule. Never give people a target they don't deserve. Now, let's talk about execution. People who share their long-term goals too early procrastinate more. Why? Because they already felt the reward in being seen as ambitious. They told the world they lose weight, start a company, make 7 figures, move countries. But the pressure disappears the moment everyone already knows your plans. There is no longer any mystery, no internal fire pushing you forward. People already gave you the validation, and your mind already consumed the reward before the work was ever finished. Don't let that happen to you. Stay quiet. Work in silence. Train where nobody can see you. And when the mission is complete, let your results speak for you. Let your power do the talking. You do not announce victories ahead of time. You force people to notice them after they happen. Let people ask themselves, wait, when did this happen? How did he pull that off? Let your silence turn into their obsession. Never reveal your long-term goals. Not because your dreams are weak, but because they are still vulnerable while they are growing. Protect the mission. Move quietly. Arrive like a king. 7. Never reveal your deepest regrets. People will pretend they care. They will listen carefully while you speak. Some may even share painful stories of their own just to make you feel understood. But the moment you expose your biggest regret, your worst mistake, or the most painful chapter of your past, they will never see you the same way again. Here is the truth. Most people are not emotionally capable of carrying the weight of your past without eventually judging you for it. They weaponize it. They store it. They wait. And the second you pose a threat, succeed more than they expected, or dare to set boundaries, they'll throw it back at you. Your regret becomes their leverage. They'll say things like, "You think you've changed? Weren't you the same guy who... Funny how you act like you're better now." It doesn't matter if it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or last week. Your vulnerability becomes their opportunity. This is the cost of confession in a ruthless world. You think you're being real. They think they found your leash. That's why Machiavelli warned, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." Regret invites sympathy, and sympathy lowers your position. People don't respect who you were. They respect who you pretend not to be anymore. You want to confess? Do it to God. Do it to your journal, not to the friend who gossips, not to the partner who one day might leave, not to the coworker who smiles too much. Because here's what no one wants to admit. Your past will always be more interesting to others than your future. People don't ask because they care. They ask because they want a weakness they can remember. They want a reason to keep you below them. They want a story to tell that starts with, "You wouldn't believe what he used to do." Even if you've grown, even if you've changed, your regret stays frozen in their mind, not as a phase, as proof. Proof that you can be broken. Proof that you were once small. Proof that under the surface, you're still that person. So what do? You lock it, bury it. Use it as fuel, not as a story. Turn your biggest regret into silent discipline. Let it shape how you move, not how you explain yourself. Let me give you a real-world example. You used to chase the wrong women. You got manipulated, played, lied to. Now, you've leveled up. You hold frame. You command respect. But you meet someone new, and you tell her everything about your past. At first, she sympathizes, but weeks later, in the middle of an argument, she brings it up. "You were so weak back then. You'll always be insecure. I could ruin you too if I wanted." It stings, not because it's still true, but because you gave her the ammo. Machiavellian lesson: do not arm others with your own failures. It's a test most fail. The need to confess pain to people who haven't earned your trust. Why do you really share your regrets? Let's be honest. You want to feel lighter. You want to feel understood. You want someone to say, "I've been there too." But that craving, that hunger to unburden yourself, it makes you weak. Not because the regret is shameful, but because you needed someone to carry it with you. Strong men carry their past in silence. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." Freedom doesn't mean saying everything. It means you've mastered it so deeply, you don't need to explain it to anyone. Let your future be so dominant, it makes your past irrelevant. Don't deny your past. Just never share it where it can be stored, repeated, or judged, because people never forget what you regret. And in the right moment, they will use it to shatter your progress. So from this day forward, repeat this to yourself. My regret is my discipline, not a confession, not a sob story, not a talking point. If this hit hard, type it in the comments. I bury my regrets in silence. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them talk. But never again will you give them the weapon to use against you. Most people never become dangerous, not because they lack power, but because they overshare. They overrust. They move loud and early. They leak their goals, their fears, their fire, until nothing is left but noise. Now stop for a second and think about it. How many victories have you destroyed simply because you talked too much? How many opportunities did you slow down by constantly explaining yourself to people who still have no idea who they are themselves? Now reverse the situation. What happens when you stop broadcasting every move? You begin building in silence. You begin healing in silence. And when the time comes, you move without warning, because the world does not respect warnings. It respects surprise. It respects precision, and it fears what it never hears approaching. If that is the energy you are stepping into, then guard your silence like your entire life depends on it. Because in many ways, it truly does. And if these words hit you deeply, don't keep them to yourself. Send this to a friend, a brother, someone who needs to stop talking and start leveling up. You might end up saving their future. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. This channel was never made to comfort you. It was made to give you clarity. And I'll see you in the next video.